wide open. Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, we're driving the 1992 Mercedes-Benz 250 GD. This is the two-door G-Wagen, diesel inline 5, no turbo, 94 horsepower and 117 pound-feet of torque, routed through a 5-speed manual gearbox, which is already a little misleading because there is a crawl gear. So really it's kind of 4 usable gears. 0 to 60 in about 22 seconds, I believe. But this one may look a little bit nicer because it's been modified and upgraded and essentially restored by EMC, Expedition Motor Company. And that's why this looks so incredible and somewhat modern inside. We've got heated seats, we've got leather, but it has not forgotten its off-road roots whatsoever. In fact, if anything, this is more off-road capable than it once was. And then front and rear lockers with a big old dragon winch up front and big knobby tires. This is a great thing because it's not a Defender. It feels more together than a Defender, honestly, and this is actually one of the greatest off-roader driving experiences I've had, especially on the street. This is really cool because, first of all, we love a two-door G-Wagen, and it's a convertible. So this roof all folds up and then comes off completely if you'd like to, and you can even rotate this windscreen down onto the hood if you want to have that full safari experience. One of my favorite things about the car is the frameless doors, but when you roll these up, there actually is a pretty significant frame around the window glass. So it does feel really sturdy in all respects when you're getting in and out of it. It's fantastic. And I think my favorite part about this Mercedes is that it's not a Land Rover, it's not a Defender. And I love Defenders, but Defenders are incredibly expensive. They're incredibly persnickety in terms of maintenance. And this just drives better than any Defender I think I've ever operated. And I'm really impressed with the way this has come together. You can tell, obviously, some modern upgrades from EMC with these headlights and all the little grills and things that go on it. I do not know the cost. So it's easy to say, hey, isn't that nice? It could be very, very expensive, and that might sour the experience just a little bit. But let me show you inside, because money no object, this is pretty darn good. So inside, it's not just a tin can. You get some nice door inserts and some lovely seats that look pretty durable too. You know, this isn't all just some like bougie materials that you're gonna wreck off-road that you're afraid to actually use the car. So I think that's a good idea, because what you wanna do when you upgrade or restore something like this is you don't wanna make it into a Bugatti that you have to keep in the garage. You still wanna be able to go off-road and use it. A little oh shit handle here, some room for your stuff in a very nice, very thin little glove box. This is tiny. And then you've got your manual transmission and your transfer case operation down here. In the back, room for 4 people. I know you're like, where are the other 2 going? Because you've got 2 seats here. You've got some storage under those seats. But in the way back, oh yes, back here, you can open the barn door and you've got room for an extra 2, hopefully only for a short cruise down to the beach or wherever you're going, because this is not going to be the most comfortable space to be. But if you've got little kids and you just need to get them down to the destination, that's going to do the trick for you. But pretty open, and even though it's not super duper long, you've got plenty of room for storage. You can throw your stuff in there. Not bad. Back here, we've got a 20-liter fuel reserve in the event that you are going deep into the woods and you need it. But this is cool because I just love the way everything is put together and clamped down. Like this is like my new favorite mechanism. I want to see this on more off-roaders. That looks really good. But here's the thing. The best part of this truck is under the hood. This is maybe one of the most beautiful engine bays I have ever seen in all of my videoing experience. Check this out. Does that look brand new or what? No leaks, no creaks, just a refreshed, essentially brand new looking 250 engine. This is incredible. No turbo, so we're going to rely on atmospheric pressure to get this down the road, and a keen eye may have noticed the shovel, which I love the idea of this being kind of hidden away under here because it's tucked away. You don't think much of it, but I'd imagine that shovel gets mighty hot if you are running this engine. But anyway, Enough about that. I'm sure you understand what it's capable of. Let's go take it out on the road and see how it drives, because at a 0 to 60 of over 20 seconds, it ain't quick, but it is fun. To get the Wolf started, pretty standard procedure for a diesel. We're in neutral. We'll click this over until our glow plug light goes out. We're already kind of warmed up, so it's good to go. Starts right up with all the clacks of a diesel. Sounds fantastic. Simple gauge layout here. We've got a speedometer, we've got a fuel gauge, and our water temp. Nothing crazy in here, but you do have a somewhat upgraded sound system. We've got speakers all around the cabin. You've got your video clock, which I really like, and then our transfer case. So these are your front and rear lockers right down here. This is your gear selector. So reverse, low, that's your crawl gear, and then straight forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, very normal. And then over here for our transfer case, S, SA, SA, neutral, and GA. So if you're confused, I was too, but luckily we have the quick reference manual from EMC, which makes this so incredibly easy to know exactly how everything in the vehicle works. So essentially, S is Strasse, that's going to be your 2-wheel high. Then you have SA, which is 4-wheel high, and GA, the Galande Allrad, that's going to be your 4 low. So that's the deal, which is wonderful, because in case you were wondering what this all means, you've got it laid out there as long as you keep this with it. So it's funny because this looks like a coffee table book, but in fact it is a very handy guide to the Wolf. Let me show you this crawl gear first. Pretty low. And then there's first. I always feel a little taken aback when I drive naturally aspirated diesels, because I'm used to turbo diesels, and it's always interesting when you don't get that surge of torque with revs. She ain't quick. You need to plan your entries onto the road for sure. And there's no tachometer, so I don't actually know what's going on rev-wise. You just kind of listen to it. Let's hope this squirrel doesn't want to get in a fight with a G-Wagen. Good choice. I'm wide open. It's a patient experience. That turbo would help us for sure, but this is where off-road you can tell the advantage of having a transfer case with a low gearing setup is going to do a world of good to climb some ugly hills. That's where this belongs. And also, I mean, you'll notice I'm in top gear right now at about reasonable cruising speeds, 30, 35 miles per hour, but you know, we're not low in the rev range. I don't know for sure because I don't have a tach, but you can tell this is not geared to be a highway vehicle. So if you are going to own something like this, you know, commuting is maybe not the ideal setup unless you've geared it to a point where it can handle that. I'm just most struck by the fact that the drivability is so good. This is really intuitive and easy to operate. It doesn't feel as truck-like as it looks. And this is quickly becoming my favorite little off-roader right now because, it's tight and playful and enjoyable, and it gives you the full experience. I like that it's a diesel. I like that it's an open cabin, that you can take the roof off and have a full convertible experience in it. I mean, man, this is the best. Let me show you this turning radius. We'll do a little U-turn here. Look at that. That tells me that this is going to be wildly capable off-road, because you'd be able to turn around and really do some low-speed maneuvers with no problems. I'm just so impressed with how it changes direction and kind of dives into a corner. I was expecting this to be kind of a dog. It's anything but. It is a wolf! It's by far and away the slowest G-Wagen I've driven, and maybe my favorite. I mean, sure, I can't drive it on the highway at 80 miles an hour, and I can't do 3-4 second 0 to 60s like you can in a G63, but this to me is the spirit of a G-Wagen, the true spirit of a G-Wagen. It's not that Hollywood bougie stuff where you're just trying to look cool in your aesthetically pleasing box. No, this is like what it's actually for. And, you know, of course, this one probably nicer than the average schlubby G-Wagen, because this one's really been outfitted nicely. But I don't think I even need all the nice stuff. I think I could take a 250 GD just as it sits, maybe if it's even a little junky. But then again, I don't think I want to give up this suspension. This is really nice. So all the stuff that's kind of been redone in it feels really good. But boy, is it slow. You'll never worry about encountering the police in this, because by the time you've gotten to the 25 mile per hour speed limit, you've already gone through 4 gears. But I think people like it. I think it's pleasing to the eye. I think people really do get a kick out of looking at this thing driving down the street, because it looks tough, but it's familiar but unfamiliar. Everyone's seen a G-Wagen. Everyone knows what they look like. Ooh, oh yes, the XLR. Hello. That's what we want to see. The North Star Corvette. The steering, it's weighted perfectly. Like, It's not finger light like an old muscle car like a GTO, but it's also not very taxing. I don't know that I'm getting necessarily feedback from the road because it's very smooth. There's almost no vibrations coming through here. So, but I'm not questioning what's going on. And I think the ratio is great. It doesn't feel, it feels a little shorter than I expected. Oh, that's a long reach for windows up. Oh my goodness. I'm glad I didn't try to do that while driving. Okay, let's see if we can cut down on that wind noise and see what the cabin feels like. Perfect day for a drive and something like this. The brakes feel super modern as well, which is really nice to have stopping power in something like this. Brakes to me are a big part of what give a vehicle confidence and what gives me confidence in a vehicle. If the brakes feel sketchy, if the brakes feel unreliable, weak, or unpredictable, that's where it doesn't really matter what the rest of the car is like. You're going to drive around that weak link of the brakes, and these brakes are just top tier, new feeling stuff. So it lets me just enjoy the rest of the vehicle. I mean, if we're talking weak links, I guess it's just the power. It's just slow. But I genuinely believe that to be part of the charm. I mean, that's third gear, climbing a not very steep hill. And we're not accelerating. Takes a bit of effort. So I think that's going to do it for me in the Mercedes-Benz 250 GD. I'm going to go bring this back to Bond Group, begrudgingly, because I would like to keep it. I do not know what this costs. I almost don't want to know what it costs because I want to love it. And if it's well into six-figure territory, that's going to be depressing for me because I will not get to have one. But I genuinely like this. If I did not ever need to drive on the highway, I think this would be a contender for the stable. If you've got the beach house or the mountain house or whatever, you just need a little runabout somewhere else, or you just happen to live in like the perfect conditions for a slow little diesel vehicle and you want to go do some cool off-roading or get out on the beach, I think this is the thing. This makes me much more happy than even the Land Rovers, and it's just so easy to drive. So thank you to Bond Group so much for tossing the keys to this. Thank you guys so much for being interested in cool, weird, old, chunky, clunky vehicles. It makes me happy to see that that automotive passion still lives on. And thanks for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.